Hello, welcome to my first look ahead video for 2022. Happy New Year, hope everybody survived Christmas and I hope you've escaped COVID. Now, we had our first street surgery of the year last Saturday at the Farmers Market in Shoreham, one of the wettest we've done for some time, but it was quite busy. Thank you to everybody who came over and spoke to us and kept us going during the pouring rain. We then did an additional street surgery, especially for the new residents of the waterfront development at Rope Tackle North, and thank you to the kind resident who let us use his garage, because quite a lot of people turned up and it was a really interesting and helpful meeting. Now, I've got another street surgery, hopefully in dry conditions, next Saturday with local councillors in Lancing. We'll be outside the Children's Centre from around 10 o'clock as usual. And then I've got my usual constituency appointment surgery on next Friday. It's going to be in Sompting. And as usual, if you want an appointment there, please ring the office at 88A High Street in Shoreham and they'll be happy to book you in. Now, Parliament's getting going again. We started back last week. On Monday, we've got something called the Nuclear Energy Financing Bill, remaining stages. That's a new piece of legislation to make it easier for big infrastructure projects like nuclear power stations to be able to finance them without having to rely on funding from people like the Chinese government, which obviously we have some serious problems with. So everyone's supporting that piece of legislation going through. We've got an Opposition Day debate from the Labour opposition on Tuesday. I don't know yet what they're going to be debating. There's a really interesting private members bill from one of my colleagues this week on digitally altered body images, which is a real issue, and there's a real problem about body confidence, particularly for teenage girls. And this bill, if it were to become law, would require basically an admission and a logo to be used in advertising and in broadcasts if artificially altered body images are being used to show that they are and that everyone doesn't look like that. We've got the commercial rent coronavirus bill. It's another ongoing piece of legislation from the coronavirus measures that were announced last year. There's an interesting debate later in the week on the education catch-up and how that's going, which is a real big issue, which I've been very involved with, and how we need to get our kids in schools back on track, which is why it's so important that we keep our schools open, even with the inconvenience of masks at the moment, which I know a number of people have their concerns about, including me, but we must keep those schools open. There's also a debate on the draft online harms bill, which is a piece of legislation the government's coming up with again to stop all this hate speak and everything going on social media. And there's also a debate on a report on smart motorways and some of the safety concerns we've had about that. Now, there's a really interesting piece of legislation where I'm on the committee of on Wednesday, and that's a private member's bill from Pauline Latham, one of my Conservative colleagues. It's a marriage bill, and effectively it will be raising the age at which you can legally get married to 18. And this is to try and counter some of the forced marriages of effectively children aged 16 or 17 who technically can get married with parental consent at the moment. Marriage laws in this country haven't been overhauled like that for over 100 years. So there's a lot of support for this legislation, and I'm sitting on the Bill Committee to scrutinise it, and I'm sure it will go through without opposition. I've got various meetings this week around the briefings on the vaccine, around China human rights, which is one of my big subjects, a meeting with the Parent Infant Foundation about early years and the progress we're making there. And then we're starting this week on the Home Affairs Select Committee our review into spiking, which is a particularly pernicious form of abuse in nightclubs, pubs and others, where not exclusively, but many women who are finding their drinks spiked and they become the victims of sexual abuse, but it's also being used by other criminals as well. So we've launched an inquiry and we're taking evidence from this Wednesday. I've also got the Uyghur Tribunal conference, again regarding China human rights, which I'm involved with. I should be speaking at. And I've got a busy Friday. We've got meetings with the Shoreham Rugby Club, with the local chief inspector for an update on policing. I'm visiting Whitemead Primary School in Worthing to talk about climate change with their eco-warriors there. Very enthusiastic they are there. Got a meeting with the CCG for an update on vaccinations, and I posted another update on my Facebook page following a briefing last week, and then a meeting about Shoreham school placements or lack of with various local councillors and parents. So busy week, busy in the constituency, but hopefully a drier weekend, and I'll see you if you're around in Lancing for our street surgery on Saturday. And in case you're wondering what I'm doing at a mock-up banquet table, this is Westminster Hall, and there's a new exhibition for visitors. Not that we can have many visitors at the moment, but what Westminster Hall, the oldest part of Westminster, the Palace of Westminster, was used for. And they've done this mock-up of a monarch's banquet. So when the public are allowed back in, you can come and see what it's all about.